Hello everyone, this is George from Strezov Sampling, and as I've promised you in the previous video, I'm going to show you the new features of Cornucopia 2. And these are two new patches, Cornucopia 2 Legato High and Cornucopia 2 Legato Low. These will be entirely free for existing Cornucopia users, so we really hope that you enjoy those. So we continued the philosophy and the concept behind Cornucopia, so what you're actually seeing are ensembles. Both the high strings and the low strings are playing in octaves, so the high strings are actually violas and violins playing in octaves, and obviously here we have the basses and the celli also playing in octaves. So I'll leave the patches speak for themselves, and then we're going to play around with the microphone positions and all those features right here so that you can hear how the instruments sound like. So let's start with the high strings. So I would say that two things are kind of immediately recognizable from this playthrough that I did. The first one is that the strings are playing consort with surdinos. It's a very warm and kind of intimate sound. And the second thing is that the library has polyphonic true legato. So that's something that we are really proud of, and it's very special. So let's go through the microphones. I'm going to disable the reverb, the built-in reverb. You have a button that controls reverb level, and obviously on and off. So let's start with the close mics. Pretty warm and analog. Let's start with the Decca. These are the three mics above the conductor. Then we have the home mics. They're pretty similar than the Decca, but there are subtle differences. They're just a stereo pair positioned on the balcony of the hall. The entire library, the update for the library was recorded in the Sophie Session Studio. So these are the two mics on the balconies. Now this thing right here, the surround microphones, it's a very interesting concept that we decided to add. It's more of an experiment. You can always turn them off and on. So when you have an orchestra setting and you're recording music like live musicians, you have bleed from the, let's say in our case, from the violins in the microphones of the celli and basses. So this is what actually happens. We have the celli and basses microphones positioned where they actually are, like on the decks of the celli and the basses. And if I play, you can hear that the sound first it's pretty low in terms of volume, and then it's panned kind of towards the right. So for instance, if you don't want to have that much violence and you want to simulate the the orchestra position playing all together, you can just add a bit of those surround mics to you. And the last one is a very close microphone right next to the concertmaster. Obviously it has signal bleed from all the other violins around him, but if you want to have like violins playing a melody and then a solo on top, then you can just increase this microphone. So let's hear how it sounds like. So a bit with more vibrato and more presence to the entire performance. Here's again all of them. Let's decrease the surround microphone and increase the solo microphone just a tiny bit. And let's play something in octaves. So you can even get some sort of a Middle Eastern orchestra setting with these octaves, because they are not perfectly tuned all together. The sound with the sordino, so you can experiment a bit with the library. So let's talk about those buttons right here. First, I've already explained the reverb button. Let's add it up. Then we have the niente button. It's a very nice button if you want to make some chords that go from nothing to let's say forte and then go back to absolute silence. It's very useful if you want to do a very smooth attack on the tone and the melody you're playing. So the legato on and off obviously turns off the legato, the polyphonic true legato. As you can hear, the script is actually pretty good because it can determine the way you're playing. So in our case, if I play, even though I'm playing in opposite directions, it's still triggering the right true legato intervals. The option overlap is closely connected with those two controls, chord and gap. So if I turn it off, the script kind of becomes like monophonic. The legato becomes monophonic. Even though I'm sustaining the notes. But what do chord and gap actually do? So let me demonstrate it. I'm increasing the chord to close to 500 milliseconds. So it actually becomes polyphonic because the script is recognizing everything within these 500 milliseconds to be part of the same chord. So if I'm not a very good piano player, for instance, and can't play chords, large complex chords at the same time, I can increase this for live performance. So if I turn it if I turn it way down to 0, it will sound like this. Even though I'm sustaining the chord. But it's still monophonic if I play something outside the range of this value right here. Gap, on the other hand, is a value that determines how much time contact should wait and keep the legato settings. Let me just quickly demonstrate this. I've turned off the reverb so that you can hear it very, very well. So, I'm going to play like tenudos. But if I'm going to increase the gap, like for 500 milliseconds, it becomes like this. So it could be good for trying different things, experimenting, trying new articulations, something like tiam, padam, pidam, stuff like this. So you can experiment with it. And now let's move on to basses and celli. Let me just solo those. All right, I'm just going to play a bit so that you can listen to how they sound.